I think we were the first actually international law firm to set up a sort of, a global hydrogen industry cover team that brought together experts from lots of different practices and sort of groups to really follow this. And I think the reason is that we noticed that there had been a dramatic acceleration in the decarbonization efforts, and it was clear that renewable energy can only get you so far, and there's a point at which you need hydrogen to achieve some of the things that you can't just do with electricity. And that, then played to our strengths, because as a firm, we have particular experience when it comes to the, huge industrial projects. So, we've worked on, projects like the Sadara integrated petrochemicals project in Saudi, which is a sort of $20 billion project. We did a similar one recently in Malaysia. We were very strong on integrated projects like LNG to power. And, we thought we had the right skill sets to sort of then transfer into these massive new hydrogen capital expenditure projects that needed to be developed, because we also have a very strong very strong renewable expertise to bring to that. But the other thing I think is, because the hydrogen market is really driven by regulators, the role that law has to play in the development of the market is really fundamental, because the regulators are the ones that are putting in place the incentives to drive the demand that then will make these projects possible. And again, we felt that we had the right footprint, being a global law firm, to help our clients look at these matters, because we can cover not only where the project is being done. So, for example, if there's a project being built in the Middle East, we have a very strong team there. But also, if the project is selling to Europe or Japan or the US, we have experience in all of, and people on the ground in all of those places that are experts at the regulations that will then be directly relevant to the project and its viability. I think in the hydrogen space, a lot of there's sort of two, I guess, main drivers within Asia Pacific. There's the importers, the traditional energy importers, which are Japan, China, Korea, Taiwan to some extent, but they're the ones who are developing these sort of very ambitious hydrogen strategies to move to a hydrogen economy so as to achieve their net zero targets. And so they are kind of leading the charge in what is the kind of development of the hydrogen demand. What is particular, I think, about the way Asia is approaching it is that they are approaching it in a more liberal in a way than Europe, for example. The Japan, Korea, China are just focused on getting hydrogen molecules to their country. It doesn't matter how that hydrogen is produced, because from their perspective, by burning hydrogen, they are already achieving, decarbonization targets. So their focus is really on generating the demand for hydrogen. And so that's one side. The other side is the production side, and that really is centered around, for the moment, the potential that Australia has to offer. In some ways, not dissimilar to the kind of LNG supply chain that currently exists between Australia and North Asia. It's that kind of Australia having these huge land areas that can be used to generate green hydrogen, and is strategically located near North Asia. Is sort of poised to be a major exporter. And there are also some quite interesting developments within the other areas of Asia, looking at sort of some more domestic type projects within Indonesia, looking at, for example, doing using hydrogen, in small sort of on some of the smaller islands to provide renewable consistent power. Countries like Nepal, who are looking at using excess hydropower to develop hydrogen and reduce their reliance on fossil fuel imports. So, they're sort of the mega projects. that are kind of being driven by North Asian demand and sort of the hope that Australia will be the exporter, but also lots of initiatives within a number of countries in Asia that are trying to sort of see if at a small scale it is possible to integrate hydrogen into their economies. So we've been incredibly fortunate by, being able to support our clients on some of the, what is, I mentioned, the largest green ammonia project in the world, and that, we were involved in, right from the beginning, from the MOU stage to commercial structuring to construction and now into financing. And, that has given us a really a multi-year lead on other law firms on sort of hydrogen and the understanding of how to develop a project successfully, because we have been in the trenches for every step of that process. And we've done it in green hydrogen, but we're also doing it in blue hydrogen, in turquoise hydrogen. We've just closed a major gray hydrogen project. So it is that kind of specific industry knowledge that we've been very fortunate to be able to develop, but also the broader platform we have, which is our sort of skill set as people who have advised historically on very large industrial projects like the Sadara Petrochemicals project, or the Rapid Petrochemicals project in Malaysia, and the global platform. That means that because these projects are global, because you're doing a project in country A, but you're exporting to country B, C, and D, you need to be able to join it all together, and we have the footprint and the expertise to do that. In the region, so I think it will be in the region a continuation of sort of giving mandates to use more hydrogen from North Asia. So recently, for example, Korea announced a sort of 25% subsidy on natural gas if it's used for hydrogen. This is purely gray hydrogen used within Korea, but that's an example of just trying to continue to stimulate that that demand, and I think that will continue in the region. I think there'll be probably a few more announcements coming out of COP26 as a result of that. But I think probably the most interesting in terms of advanced regulation is in Europe at the moment, and the Fit for 55 package that is sort of being discussed, that's trying to bring the sort of measures that Europe is trying to put in place to bring carbon emissions down by 55% compared to 1990 levels. And that includes a number of hydrogen targeted initiatives, like specific mandates to use green hydrogen for industrial uses like steel and other applications, but also broader emissions-based regulation, like enhancing the European emissions trading schemes and imposing the carbon border adjustment mechanism to maintain a level playing field. I think that will influence how other countries, including in Asia, will start looking at regulating hydrogen and sort of supporting hydrogen market. I was hugely impressed by the first one. It's the quality of the people who attended. I met some really, really interesting people, a lot of whom I'm still in touch with, and what the previous one was able to achieve is to attract a lot of very senior hydrogen industry leaders and thought leaders that made for a really, really interesting exchanges. And I think the lineup for this year is even more impressive. So I'm very excited to meet everyone at the event, but in particular the panel, the panelists of the panel that I'll be moderating on interregional hydrogen trade in Asia. And it's a great example of all the dynamics that come into play in the region. We'll have representative, Alicia Eastman, who's the president of Intercontinental Energy, who has huge ambitions for exporting hydrogen from Australia, and also representatives from the importing countries. So, for example, the chairman of H2 Korea, so key country for importing hydrogen, and I think there'll be some very interesting discussions and perspectives that they'll be sharing, and I'm very excited to speak to them about that.